Okay, folks, here we are, and we're going to continue.
Into the inner circle of the royal family in the 1960s. Lord Mountbatten, the mentor of Prince Charles and Prince Philip. The reason they're desperately trying to put the lid on this is very simple. When the truth comes out about all this, the political and royal establishment will collapse. That's why they're trying to do it.
Spiritual correctness.
Here it is. Okay, and the Dino 4 fake news story of 2019 goes to ABC News for it was unbelievable what we had. We had Clinton, we had everything.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us in a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations that I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
Yes, it should perhaps come as no surprise that the fake news story of 2019 would swirl around one of the most remarkable stories of 2019. Remarkable not so much insofar as it was unexpected, but so much as it shows in minute detail how the fake news media operates. And that story, of course, were the dramatic events surrounding the Miami Herald's reporting on Epstein, followed by his dramatic arrest and incarceration, his first suicide attempt and put on suicide watch, and then, of course, as we all know, he killed himself in prison. And that's the end of the story, right? Okay, well, that was a weird set of events, and time to move on with your lives and never speak about it again. Or at least that's what the lying liars of the fake news media would like to have happen in this case. And that's precisely why, if this entire series of events was to be encapsulated in one particular fake news story, it is ABC News' deliberate cover-up, ongoing, years-long cover-up, of the information, the documentation that they had in their hands about this story for years before the Miami Herald and others dug this up and reported on it as brand new miracle revelations. Oh, whoever knew this information? Well, of course, people in the alternative media who have been talking about this case for years and years knew about this information in various forms, and evidently other reporters did too, and ABC News deliberately suppressed it. Now, to be fair, this, I suppose, is not a story that was reported in 2019. In fact, it is not a story that was reported at all, and it isn't a fake news story per se. It is a very real news story that they had, that they deliberately suppressed, but I think this does encapsulate exactly how the lying liars of the fake news mainstream media were active perpetrators and accomplices in the cover-up of the Epstein story, without which Epstein would not have been able to operate. Without the active complicity of reporters and journalists and others who were digging up this information, not just for years, but literally for decades, and then being suppressed by editors, if that had not taken place, then this story would have been a very, very different story. So this is a perfect encapsulation of how the fake news media operates, and it brings to mind many other examples of how this story and stories like it have been actively covered up in the past. Of course, the open secret that everybody in Britain, or at least everybody in the media, knew about Jimmy Savile for years and years that was deliberately covered up until after his death. Or even in the Epstein case, not just with ABC News and its deliberate suppression of the story that had been reported out, the documentation that they did have that could have at least stopped Epstein and brought it to trial much earlier. Well, how about even earlier than that? Of course, we now know of Vicky Ward saying that she had this story back in 2002, or some version thereof, and that was deliberately covered up by the editors of Vanity Fair. And then you look into Vicky Ward and you find out she's buddy-buddies with Ghislaine Maxwell, and the rabbit hole just keeps going deeper and deeper. But it does go to prove the point that certainly the truth about Epstein is never going to come from these admitted and documented liars who go out of their way to suppress the truth about this story. And just as a further follow-up, just to further demonstrate the point, of course, we did get this update to that ABC News story later on November 7th, 2019, where it was reported that ABC News had identified the employee who had accessed the hot mic footage there of Amy Robach admitting to the cover-up of the Epstein story, and that employee, who was at that now working at CBC News, had been fired. So don't worry, they will get to the bottom. They will absolutely investigate and find out who was responsible for leaking this news, and then they'll fire them. But, the news itself, we're not going to tell the public about that, even though it was all there documentably on the record. Now, again, the Epstein story is, in some ways, the story of 2019 because it encapsulates so much of the world that we live in and the way that it operates. But, of course, you are not going to get that story from the fake news media, which is why I will throw in the show notes links to my own reporting on the Epstein case over the years, the Whitney Webb articles over at Mint Press News, that went much deeper into detail about what Epstein was and how he was operating. I'll throw a link into Derek Brose at theconsciousresistance.com and his work that he's been doing on Epstein for years and years. And you can use those as launching points at any rate.
Have you heard of wayfairgate? Well, you're about to. I feel a bit of personal responsibility for wayfairgate because it was on June 14th when I happened to have been shopping on that site for a storage cabinet. And I came across these ones here. They were so odd and out of place that I tweeted about it, and I said, my spidey senses are tingling. What's with these storage cabinets? Extremely high prices, all listed with girls' names, and identical units are selling for different amounts. And I got a screen grab of what I had been looking at. And just check this out. The prices, $19,499 for the Alasia storage cabinet.
Preposterous.
$16,099, $13,899, $23,499. And the thing is, when I clicked through, a lot of them were identical cabinets in dimension and number of shelves. So I just thought it was really weird. And I tweeted. And then I took a vacation. You might recall I wasn't here for a couple weeks. I didn't do a video for a couple weeks. I did other things. I just got my mind off of the world for a while. But I came back and, oh my goodness, this thing, wayfairgate, had grown. It had grown up, I assume, from that original seed that I planted. And all of the research done after that was done by just people who picked up on the story and added to it along the way. And now it has taken over the zeitgeist. Here's an example of what I mean. I'm going to play this one for you right now.
Stop scrolling because this is, scary. Right now there's a whole conspiracy about Wayfair's mysteriously overpriced cabinets with names attached to them. These names are also the names of missing children. So I thought I would do some more digging, and what I found is insane. I went on the Wayfair to see if their other items had, weird names and were crazily overpriced. No, a cabinet 4 times the size of that suspicious one is way less. $12,000? $2,000. And an interesting thing happens when you look up the SKU numbers of those cabinets. It's not just on Wayfair though. People are finding these suspicious items on Amazon and Etsy. So I did an experiment. I looked up children on Etsy and look, $13,000 for a set of 6 children's activity cards, and there only happens to be one available. Same with this $10,000 just regular toy chest. Totally not sus.
So that young woman just gave you a breakdown of what the wayfairgate story is all about. And in a future video, I'm going to do a deeper dive on the players involved in Wayfair. And I'm going to show you some interesting stuff that I've already got screen grabbed. Okay? But for today, what I really want to talk about is the reaction of the mainstream media and the talking heads, the usual suspects that I see come along every time there's a story about child predators. 99 times out of 10, these guys will come along, these same people, and they'll put the kibosh on it. Their main angle of attack is just to insult anyone who's interested. They want to insult anyone for asking questions about it because they figure that'll scare people away. People are very intimidated by the online mobbing and being called names, or at least they used to be. I think that angle of attack is losing its luster. And today I want to go
Absolutely
through some
losing
of the
its
many
shine.
cases
Losing its
that there
shine.
have been in the past to show you that it is worthwhile asking these questions of
It is
Wayfair
almost
and
over,
why
folks.
we should not accept their lame answers. I want everyone to learn by the end of this
Soon to
video
be
that you
over,
should
folks.
ignore the mainstream press.
We can do
The
this.
mainstream press
We've already
is
got
the
this.
pedo cover-uppers. Not always, but a lot of the time. Also, I'm hoping that by showing a lot of these past cases, that the people who are now just waking up because of Wayfairgate, I hope you'll go down these other rabbit holes too. And you'll see that this wide-scale child sex predator trafficking, these rings, they've been going on forever, and the main reason they are allowed to continue is because of the failure of the press. All right, I think I've had my opening rant now. Oh, and P.S., the only reason I was shopping for those cabinets was because I wanted to get some extra supplies in because of COVID, and I hate the restrictions and lockdown, so I don't want to go to the store, so I was going to get some extra, and I needed a place to put them. So another mainstream false narrative is the reason that Wayfairgate happened in the first place. So you guys, you brought this on yourselves, and I'm hoping that this is the Great Awakening for real. Just to give you a close look at what this girl was talking about in her video. Look, here's the 7
I would certainly say it is
for almost
the Great Awakening.
And a missing girl from Columbus, Ohio, Samia
Awakening.
Moomin. Yaritza Storage, Yaritza Castro missing. And there's been things like these girls, some of these children have been found and recovered. I don't know that that's true. I don't know what's true because, as I said, I didn't do this research. This research all sprang up naturally and organically from that one little seed I planted. Look at the power we each individually have. Boom, amazing. So what is with these high-priced cabinets? Did Wayfair come out and make a statement about it? Yes, they did. Here's what they said. The products in question are industrial-grade cabinets that are accurately priced. They're going to take down the photos, they say. They're going to redo them. They're going to change the names, and then they're going to relist them at some later date. That's what Wayfair said, that they were actually accurately priced because they're industrial cabinets. Oh yeah, Wayfair, did you come out yet and explain this? The pillow covers? The $10,000 pillow covers, which have names that happen to correspond, once again, to missing children. Wayfair hasn't bothered, to my knowledge, to come out and explain why the pillow covers also were priced so high. Is that an accurate price? Do you just need to redo the pictures and change the names? Wayfair? Or what? No, you probably don't have to because, once again, all the blue checks, all the talking heads, all the mainstream media, they're going to cover up for you. Look at this one from John Cardillo. John Cardillo says today, people, Wayfair isn't trafficking kids. Some clever lefty filled out the simple process to sell their items on Wayfair, put up those items at prices far exceeding their value, and used names of abducted kids to troll you. Far too many of you took the bait. Well, he's totally wrong. on this page from Wayfair on how to sell, they tell their potential sellers that Wayfair sets the retail price. And from now on, before these blue checks and media pundits beak off, they should do just a little research. As my friend Frank over from Quite Frankly said, I'm paraphrasing here, what does it take to get these people curious? What does it take to get these people to look into these types of things? Or are they, in fact, paid not to? Like Ben Collins here. Ben Collins has a full-time gig going around the internet, supposedly debunking conspiracy theories. It just so happens that most of the things he concentrates on are things that might impact child sex predators and Hillary Clinton. And those two things might not be mutually exclusive. Yeah, Ben, hi, by the way. I know you're watching. Gregory Wing. Gregory Wing is a reliable witness, Ben. Special agent for the FBI, looking into child crimes against children in Chicago. And listen to what he has to say.
I'd say 80%, I'd venture up to say 80% of the victims of sex trafficking are on the internet right now.
80% of child trafficking is done online now.
Out of
People
Chicago.
just get out their phones and they can order a boy
Brothers
or
and
a
sisters,
girl
we have a duty and a responsibility to stand up and clean this mess up now. We're the only ones suffering.
I'm interested in a boy or a girl, and they get
Or should I say,
residence or hotel rooms.
our suffering has the greatest impact because we are the earth.
Is definitely worth
We are the planet you're looking at.
Here's some more clips.
And you see those claws?
These clips.
That's me right there. Yes, that's me.
This is one thing that I
And don't worry, they'll be in your backs soon. With me and the hordes of angels.
And this thing looks
and humans.
artificial intelligence future. I mean, that
coming to pluck you right out of the way.
It looks like it's photoshopped on, right? Which would mean that they photoshopped artificial intelligence and kindergarten and Little Princess and everything else. So that's what got me started looking back into the Wayfair stuff, and there's a ton of stuff on here, guys, if you want to. Stuff is as crazy as baby dinosaur pictures, mediocre drawings for $30,000 on Wayfair. Are you kidding me? Is this a Picasso? Makes no sense why that would be $30,000. And I mentioned it.
This is the la la land you and I are lost in, and you and I have no control of because we would rather be asleep. You're literally customizing your awareness with a standard, an economic standard that you'll never survive. 5 years from now, $1 billion will be worth 100,000. Where are you going to be? Right where you are right now, sleeping and impoverished on every level. Especially the most important one, that frequency.
Wayfair.com, here's a bookcase. Notice that book, that picture frame right there.
That frequency.
Very interesting. This isn't the bookcase I want to focus on. I want to focus on this one. But we have the Haitian Friends picture here, and we have this book, which appears on multiple bookshelves on Wayfair. It's called Bloody Harvest. You could put anything you want on these bookshelves, right? Like, I assume most of this is somewhat photoshopped or staged. So why would you put a book called Bloody Harvest? Why would you write Haitian Friends? You could put, like, a picture of a puppy with, like, a heart under it, or, like, Jack and Jill, happy anniversary, but you decided to put Haitian Friends and Bloody Harvest when you could have put Think and Grow Rich or, Two Kids book or something like that. Things tying the SKUs, the Yandex SKUs going to
Haitian Friends and Bloody Harvest.
That the SKUs, the codes on the
you think maybe you melanated peoples across the earth are included in on that Bloody Harvest that the Haitians?
So Bloody Harvest, killing a felon.
That's coming to the Haitians, I should say.
Real, dude. This is crazy. Here's the table of contents. Methods, context.
My brothers, you are about to be brought to the end of a long electromagnetic conversion to unconsciousness.
That they chose to put on the bookshelf in Wayfair.
And this is why all over the world, even in department stores, you're finding, for example, nooses in the Amazon warehouses. individuals from other bloodlines assaulting you from out of nowhere. Now, I'm not saying the light side of these bloodlines, but I'm saying the dark side that you fuel
Haitian friends
with your magnetic misaligned radiance.
We'll get into Haiti a little
We'll get
bit
into
later.
getting that radiance together
Warning
shortly.
he got that someone says he might be suicidal. Is that a threat? What is that all about? And finally, he mentions that he thinks the photos are photoshopped. Well, it's a little bit more technical than that, according to this Wayfair employee.
And so Steve, he's one of our co-founders, and he was looking into how can we reduce the cost of photography. What we were doing is really ramping up our individual products. Like, we created these new custom Wayfair brands of products that we were selling before under, the normal supplier brand. And we thought, we're going to curate all these products. We're going to come up with our own look and style and story for the customer to make it easier for them to find things that go together well. And the problem was we were taking all these products, having them shipped to a facility in either Kentucky or Massachusetts where they have to assemble the product, build the background, build the whole stage, have photographers come in, stylists tweak every little thing in the photo. And they'd create, these nice looking pictures like the one you see here, but it would cost about $1,000 on average. And so what Steve was finding, his background's mechanical engineering, so he was in the 3D space and thinking, how can we take computer-generated imagery and create a photo that looks this good? And in fact, that's actually a rendering that Steve had done early on, and it cost him $250. So for a quarter the cost of the photo studio process, here we are with an identical output, and yet the value that we get out of this as well is these reusable 3D models.
So all those nice backdrops, all the pictures of the items, they are done by Wayfair, at least according to that guy, which means that those crappy photos of those cabinets was probably done by Wayfair too. I'm not saying that for sure, but that's what it looks like to me. All right, now let's change to the whole idea that these conspiracy theories, this Wayfair supposed conspiracy theory, is being debunked by reporters phoning up Wayfair and saying, "Hi guys, are you trafficking children?" And Wayfair saying no. And then the reporters go, "Everybody saying Wayfair is trafficking children are far-right, lunatic conspiracy theorists." That's it. That's the end of it. But I ask you, if there was a conspiracy theory floating around that a leading actress from the television show Smallville, a beautiful young woman, was secretly on her off time recruiting people into basically a mind control sex cult called DOS, under the tutelage of a sort of grand master who runs a bigger cult called Nexium. And she was getting these women to give her compromising materials on them so that she could always have that hanging over their heads. And she was branding these women, burning her own initials into the hip area of a whole bunch of women. Would you say that that's just a crazy conspiracy theory? How about if I said a guy who handles the money of some of the world's wealthiest people and invests it for him, who has airplanes and multiple mansions and an island in the Virgin Islands, and on that island there was underground tunnels leading to a strange Egyptian sort of temple, and that temple had giant golden cockatiels on the roof and a gold dome, and outside were statues of the god Pan in strange positions. Would you say that sounds... And that guy was trafficking children? He was luring people to his island so that they could have sex parties with them and get other billionaires to have sex with these minor children so that they could take photos and blackmail them? Does that sound like a crazy conspiracy theory? Because you already know where I'm going. Both of these two things happened. Keith Raniere and Allison Mack were found guilty for their crimes against women and guilty of trafficking. And so was Jeffrey Epstein way back in the day. He was supposed to be tried at one...
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to pause for one moment to remind you of one thing. It is our collective consumer desires, while we are presently sleeping, that sustain and guard the gates that these individuals stand behind as billionaires. We're the individuals who are providing the tools necessary for these individuals in our sleep. But now that we have the most unbelievable force in the universe here in the Matrix on this planet with us, we now have knowledge. This knowledge will be the key to your redemption. Now, this knowledge is about to get deeper, and you will be free. However, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that I want to give a warning to everyone listening on either side. This is not a joke. I would not put my life on the line with every individual on the planet who belongs to a criminal faction for a few hits on YouTube. Okay? Please be well aware of the fact that this situation is being monitored by eyes that see through everything. So, my hope is that you'll continue along with the ride, because it is the ride of a lifetime. I can assure you of that. So let's continue, ladies and gentlemen. Let's continue on strong, determined. Let's stand tall. The Guardians are here. You have nothing to worry about. If you follow my advice, you're safe. Mark my words. Mark my words and trust me. There's such an energy going through this room right now. It's running through my body right now. You should feel the beautiful energy that's coursing through me. This will be soon yours. Let's go ahead and continue. And by the way, folks, there is nothing about me evil. Please, please understand that. Overstand that. And stay with us. It's about
for more
to
extensive crimes, but we all know what happened.
explode.
He didn't kill himself, so there will never be a trial.
The Matrix is about to explode.
What else we got? Here's some more. Sex trafficking. Is Peter Nygaard the Canadian Jeffrey Epstein? This is from 2020 as well. He's a big fashion house mogul in Canada. All the money in the world. Everything he could ever want. And one of those things, it turns out, is an island, just like Jeffrey Epstein, where he keeps women basically as indentured servants and mistreats them. And there's more to the story, of course, but we don't have time. What else have I got? Keith Raniere and the Nexium thing also involves Claire Bronfman. The Bronfmans are almost royalty in Canada, and they're involved in this. Not only that, but it's rumored that Carlos Salinas, the former president of Mexico, his son Emiliano Salinas, is allegedly a top member of the sex cult Nexium. And now they're being sued by 80 more people in a lawsuit claiming that the Nexium cult leaders exposed them to human freight experiments, forced labor, and human trafficking. Yeah, they got a lot of people from Mexico, and they have this thing called Rainbow Cultural Garden. Oh, it's a rabbit hole. So if you're just waking up to the elite pedophile crimes and the human trafficking network that they profit so mightily off of, if you're just waking up to that now, I'm hoping all these rabbit holes, all these clues will make you more curious.
Excuse me, to my brothers in Africa. I know you realize that what's going on in Haiti is something that you can fix. To my brothers in Haiti, I know you see what's going on in Africa, and I know that you know it's something you can fix. To my brothers in America, I know you see the problems in Haiti and all over the rest of the world where you'll find the melanated races. The lights that shine in you, they're supposed to be transferring to what you call your woman. And you and her, who's in the same responsible state of awareness that you presently are, even though you're magnetically misaligned. That means you have wires crossed mentally, psychic wires crossed. You both are supposed to make sure that not only are you and your children protected, but all other life without your awareness on this planet are protected. These individuals who are 5 sensory aware Gentiles, these young, innocent females of all bloodlines, and young men of all bloodlines do not deserve to have to deal with the confusion and of misidentity. And you are the guardian on this planet, this matrix program. Naturally, you protect against misidentity. And at this moment, it is your duty to once again hit the earth with a bombshell. You understand me, sir, ma'am? And that bombshell is the truth of you. The truth of you exists in every male and female bloodline on this planet, and to you who have the same Christ consciousness as a result of your coming forth out of their flesh, it is your responsibility to contribute your mind power and your physical strength. No differently than this bird you see here to the left, to ensure that your planet is safe. So folks, I'm going to go ahead and end this clip. We're going to go ahead and upload it, and we are going to get to the next one. And here's a taste of what you're going to see on the next one, by the way. We want to go this way. We're going, I was going to actually show you part of the clip, but instead I'm going to end this video here, this shift, and we're going to upload the next. And it may take me another hour to begin the next clip, but folks, we're just going to keep on making clips all day and get this over with. You folks are going to totally enjoy the rest of this program. Believe me, it's going to be amazing.